Hi there and welcome to the Babylon channel. Now I'm just about to start my next project, which is the Kwik Sew 3979. It's a lovely looking little top and I quite like the look of it because it was something a bit different. I wanted something a bit different, something a bit other than just a basic top, because it's almost like a t-shirt but with a bottom bit on it there. Now I'm going to have a go at view B, which is this one. Now view B has a it's almost like a t-shirt with a placket, polo shirt I think normally called, something like that, and it has that little button detail on the front there rather than a v-neck, which is what the other one is showing. So that's the difference really between the two. This pattern does have, it says top and pants or trousers as I call them in this actual pattern design. So there we go, got those two items within the actual pack, but I'm just going to be making the top. Now what prompted me to go and have a look for a pattern, like a simple pattern like that, with a bit of a quirk, as I said, is this material, this lovely fox material. I think I might have shown this before when I'd originally got some. I actually had it last Christmas I think, and I got 2 meters of it and I liked it so much, thought wow, that's brilliant, and then I saw it online, so I bought another 2 meters, which is actually way more than I need for doing this pattern, but I can use it for other stuff if I need to. But it is just so lovely. It's got foxes on it. It is a really dark, almost sort of navy blue, and it is a cotton poplin, but it's got a lovely movement to it. It's not overly stiff, yet at the same time it does have a certain hold to it, so it's not going to be really drapey, so it keeps its shape, which is what you want as far as I'm concerned when it comes to a top like this, almost t-shirt type top. You want it to have a little bit of hold and shape to it, but you do want it to flow, and that's exactly what I've got with this fox print material. Now before I actually get into making it with the material, I'm going to have to do a mock-up really, because I don't want to make a mess of this because I've never done it before. So first things first, the mock-up, of which I'm going to use this. This, as you can quite clearly see, was once a bed sheet. Not used anymore, and it's not quite the same, it's not the same material, it's a bit different in the way it drapes, but what I'm looking to do really is to just understand how the construction of this top is, how it goes together, what I need to be aware of, what I'm looking for, any mistakes I might be able to make if I'm not careful about what I'm doing. But yeah, bedsheet, perfect. I've used them all the time to do my mock-ups, so that'll be the first thing to do really, is my mock-up. You know, just as a note, these ones are fitted bed sheets, and you get this bit of elastic in there, which is actually quite usable. You can take these out and you get 4 of them, so you could use them for doing a cuff, a collar, maybe somewhere that needs a bit of elastic, just take that out and you can reuse it. So brilliant, more than one use for a whole bed sheet. But there we go, that is the mock-up material which I'm going to be using. So really not much else to say about it except to get on with it really, starting with the instructions and working out what my size is going to be. So let's get started with having a look at the instructions to start with. That's the main place to start with for any pattern. As I say, you should always read all the pattern all the way through thoroughly before you get started, so you know what it is that you're doing. So I suppose I ought to take that advice and give it a good read. So Kwik Sew 3979. Now I do apologise if this camera wobbles about a bit, it's just the way that I've got it mounted. It's attached to the table that I've got, that I'm using here, which is my sewing table. So without further ado, let's have a look. It is, let's just have a quick look on the back. This is from 2012 and it's telling me, let's have a look at the, it says pullover tops have bust darts, short sleeves, patch pockets and outside waist casing with elastic and drawstring. View A has a V neckline, like that one. View B has a scooped neck with front placket button closure, like that. Slightly flared pants have darts, centre back zipper and waist finished with facing. Now I'm just doing the top, so I'm not worried about the trousers, as I call them, but I'm going to be doing view B, so that's what I'll be focusing on. Now fabrics for this, suggested fabrics are broadcloth, cotton types, chambray. So yeah, fine. Now sizing I'm going to get onto in a bit and have a look at that, because I'm not quite sure what sizing we're going to need, but well, got an idea, but yeah, when I get onto that. So anyway, let's get the pattern out, or the instructions shall I say. So the pattern is, I think it's in 2 parts. As you can see, I've not had this open as yet, so I'm going to leave that for now and focus on the actual instructions, as I should do. So that's what I'm doing, B. And I suppose first thing to look at will be, I suppose, what pieces I'm going to need. Let's open this up. Well, wait, don't worry about the blue cross, it's just to make sure it's my centre shot. I know how to put everything so everything stays in view, and I'm not like doing this. You can read this, can't you? No, you can't. Anyway, my pattern. So lots of pieces, I suppose. We've got 17, don't need them all. For view B, oh, it tells me, this is nice, don't always say this. For view B, use pattern pieces 3 to 13, which is brilliant. Tells me exactly which bits I need. Sometimes some of these instructions don't tell you how to use the Kwik Sew pattern, in case you've never used one of these pattern instructions before. Cutting, yeah. Pre-shrink and press fabric if necessary, yeah. Always remember to pre-wash your fabrics before you get started. Now I'm doing this is going to be for my mock-up, so this is all about my mock-up to start up with, and that's been washed many times. Probably just needs a darn good iron, but there we go. So layout. Now the fabric I have got, let's have a look. It's showing view A, view B. This is for 58, 42 inch. I expect my fabric is probably more this size than it is this size, so I will have to fold it over. But it doesn't look too bad. I mean, you get most of it out. There's lots of little bits. It's like there's lots of facing pieces on this, and also for the as they say, it's got an elasticated waist area, so I imagine I'm going to be fiddling around trying to get that on at some point, but we'll get that at some point. But anyway, that's probably my pattern cutout. That's not on. That's on the fold salvage, so most of the pieces are going to come out of that. The front and the back by the looks of it, and this looks to be the sleeve number 5. What's number 5? Front and back extension. Oh right, that's the bit that hangs down, because on here we've got what looks to be, if this is right, this extension bit. It's almost like doing a t-shirt and then you add this bit on the bottom. Sure, we'll find out as time goes on. Oh, some interfacing as well. So view B, I've got 3 bits of interfacing to get cut out as well. And then it goes on about sewing instructions. Now, I'm okay. I mean, I am still, as it were, an amateur. I'm not a professional sewist or seamstress or tailor or anything, but fairly confident with doing this sort of sewing. It's going on about, looks like finishing edges and that on here. And then obviously it's going on about notching when you're doing corners or areas that have a curve. It goes on about hemming, stay stitching, which I imagine there probably should be on here. Well, maybe. Understitching. Grading seams, which is always a pain in the backside, grading seams, I always find, because normally you sort of grade the seam down and then you need to understitch it, and then you have to top stitch it as well, so it's a lot of work with grading back a seam if it's needed, but sometimes it's needed, especially around the collar area. And then we actually get on to the main instructions. Now with this one, it seems to be telling me that it's starting with view A, which is not what I'm doing, but we'll have a quick look at it anyway. So first off, interfacing. Oh, you do the pocket as well, interface that bit on the pocket. I wonder if I might change the way I do the pocket on this, because on a previous top, which is my shirt that I make, I found that the pocket didn't work the way they described, so I just sort of did it my own way. But I'll get there when I get to it. So I will have a pocket, I imagine. Actually, looking at this, looks like it has two pockets on the front. So yeah, I've got two pockets by the looks of it. Or I suppose you could have as many pockets as you want, or no pockets if you didn't fancy. But I'll be going with two pockets, I suppose. That's what it's showing. And then the first off is to do the darts, then the shoulders, and then it's after, because obviously you've done the interfacing, is then putting the facing piece for the collar area. And then once you've prepped that, you then need to stitch it on to the collar, pin facing to front and back, side seams together at neckline, matching centre folds, shoulder seams and centre back, stitch neckline, pivoting at dot, somewhere there's a dot on there, trim and clip seam allowances and clip to corner of stitches at dot. There must be a dot down here, I suppose, on this centre point. I'm not doing that though. And then obviously you've got this thing of then doing the understitching, and then you'll turn it through, and I imagine you'll have to top stitch it, of which it says so there, top stitch. So then you top stitch round, and then that holds it all down in place, that facing. Once you've done that collar piece, then you stitch the sides up, and then you come on to the sleeve, which is a sleeve cap, just a short sleeve top, which is relatively easy. It looks like you've got to put some stay stitching in there. Stay stitch sleeve cap between front and back notches. Stay stitching, I wonder why. Well, normally you'd have a gather stitch in there, don't you? So obviously they don't want it to stretch out with this one. Well, I don't know. We'll have a look at that once I get to it, I suppose, during the making process. And then you fold it up, do the edge seam, and then present it into the sleeve like you would with a lot sleeve. You present it up and stitch it round, and then just hem the edge, and that makes it seem very, very simple. And then it goes on about the pockets, right onto the page 2. There are only 3 pages on this. Page 2, and then page 2 is alright. So once you've prepped the pockets, you then sew them onto your front extension. So yeah, it is like that, isn't it? It really is. What you've got is a top section, which is like a t-shirt basically, nothing more than that, and then you add your extension piece onto it by the looks of it. So you put your pockets on, I suppose, line them up, centre them up. You can have them, I suppose, skew if you fancy. I suppose trying to get them lined up somehow. I wonder if there's markings on the actual instruction details, not an instruction, on the actual pattern pieces, so you can line them up. Anyway, then stitch both pieces together, and then this looks like there's a waistband piece by the looks of it here. So we've got stitch front waist casing to waist back sides, fold. So we're going to fold it over the edges, just give it an edge, then fold the upper edge, so we're getting another upper edge, so it's all cased in. And then it looks like, yeah, the edge where it's not folded over, we're going to put the right sides together and stitch on to this bottom section. Pin waist casing to extension, right sides together at waist seam, with raw edges even, matching right side seams, centre backs, centre fronts and left placement line of casing to left side seam of extension, based in place. I suppose this opening, by the looks of it, looks like there's an opening, because there must be a drawstring or something that pulls through. I think there's a tie piece that goes through there. You could have that open bit anywhere you like, I suppose. Depends on your fancy, really, whatever you like to do. So it can move about, I suppose. Another trial and error, I suppose. Then, I see. Then, yeah, this is where you're going to put the top to the bottom section. So turn that inside out, right sides together, so we match up the bottom of the top piece to the top of the bottom piece, and stitch, it's saying to double stitch that. Pin right, print front and back to extension over casing. Right sides together at waist seam, matching centres and side seams. Stitch again, 6mm in seam allowance, trim close to second stitching, press seam allowances up. Marvellous. So yeah, so you press it up. Then you turn it all the way through, and it looks like, yeah, so we should end up with that and the casing upwards. And then it says about making the long drawstring. So we're going to have a drawstring, turn drawstring right side out and press. Wide, cut a piece of 1 centimetre wide elastic and follow the following length. Alright, so depending on the size you're doing, I get it. This piece is the part that comes through, and then you have 2 of these, and then you put a piece of elastic between them, so the elastic will go through the that casing piece, and these 2 bits will poke out, and like that. Will poke out, and you'll be able to use that as the tie piece. Is that showing on here? Can you see that? It's not easy to see really, because it looks like they've used same material obviously for the drawstring pieces, so you can't see them very well, but the elastic I imagine is in through there, or on this one there, because these are exactly the same, only the top bit's different. The front top piece is the only bit that's really different, because this one has that button placket, whereas this has the V-neck. I don't know why they've dressed the model in sort of, I don't know, it looks almost like medical, doesn't it, or office sort of business stuff. I don't know. Could always be for lounging around rather than professional wear. Oh well. On I go. So after doing all that, and then you gotta hem it up at the end. That's the last thing it looks like, and that would be finished, except I'm not doing view A, I'm doing view B, so I've got a different front. Again, it's the same process by the looks of it. First of all, start off with the interfacing, but I've got a little bit more interfacing because I've got this button placket piece. 2 pockets, same as before. So it looks like it's a bit different. On front, stay stitch bottom edge of front opening, following stitching lines marked. See stay stitching in sewing procedures. Righto. Looks like there's a bit of stay stitching at the bottom here. This is where I presume the bottom of the placket is actually going to meet up. And then it says follow view A instructions 2 and 3. Right, okay. View A instructions 2 and 3. Oh, I see. So that's the darts and the shoulder seams. So that's 2 and 3. Then it's back to here, which is again same sort of thing. Prepping the facing for the neck piece. This one's slightly different because it doesn't join up. So obviously one long piece, edge it up however you feel like. They probably say to use an overlocker, I imagine, or overcast outer edge of facing, well, zigzag I suppose, or something like that. Then it's pin facing to front and back. So again, this is matching the shoulders, and to bring it round the back there, then stitch that round. And it says obviously again to trim it, notch it, and then bring it up and understitch. This is very common, I think, for doing any sort of collar facing pieces. Understitch that and then bring it over. So hang on, what does it say here? Something a bit different with this. Understitch neckline seam allowances to facing. Turn facing to wrong size and press. Baste front raw edges together. Right, that's here I think, basting this little bit. Anyway, and then it's, once you've turned it over, turn it through and top stitch front neckline edge. Fairly simple. Now this is where it does change a bit. So this is my difference. So now I'm going to have these two pieces, which are part of the button. I think they really are. These are the button placket for that front opening. So let's have a look. So I've got to open out tab facings and pin front tabs to front opening, right sides together, matching dots at neckline and lower front opening. Stitch each side seam between dots, slash along centre and clip to lower dots. Corners of stay stitching on front only. So it looks like I've got to put that to the back of it, clip out the corners, and then it says press seam allowances towards tabs. On free edges of tab facings, fold under raw edges 1.5 centimeters and press. So I've got to put that on there. I've got to press the edge over, and then it's almost like you have for a like a bias tape or something like that, but it's only bigger. And then you've got to then, I've got to stitch these little edges up the top here, then turn them through, by the looks of it, stitch uppercase upper edge, turn tabs right side out. So then, oh I see, yeah, it is, it's a bit like a facing, well not so much facing piece, but like a bias tape, only it's wider than a bias tape, and we're just stitching it on, stitching the edge up, and then turning it all through to give this wide placket. I should do that on both sides and end up with something that looks like that. Left tab over, no, right tab over left tab and pin to keep in place. Then I've got to insert ends of tabs into inside on pin to front with raw edges together, stitching across tabs from dot to dot through all layers. So it's this, it's almost like on the inside you've got to anchor that piece, that little end bit in place. And then it says buttonhole and do your buttons, and then follow top view A instructions 5 through to 13. So from that point on it's the same as the rest of it, so wherever it was from. So then the side seams and the sleeves and this piece is exactly the same. So the real difference is this top section and that collar and button placket. So that's, I think, where my troubles are going to be there. So that's where I'm going to need to focus on and work on that and understand how that goes on, because I think that's where I may have my most troubles. But all in all, it's not that bad a set of instructions. That's the instructions read through. So let's have a quick look at the pattern and see if I can determine the size that I need to make. So let's get this pattern opened up and have a look. First time I've opened this up, you can see it's a bit, I didn't fold it very well, did they? It's a bit, definitely needs an ironing. What I will probably do is I will trace this out and take it out that way. So lots of pieces in here. Looks like I've got two bits here. That's the top. This one, view A front. I'm not doing view A. There's other pieces on here by the looks of it. That's the sleeve and several of the other facing pieces and stuff. So sorry about the rustling and noise, but that's what you get. I've got two more pieces here, it looks like it. Just work this out. Yeah, oh. So what's this bit? Bear with me. This looks like it's the front and back extension, and then turn this over. I've got the trousers section and some more facing pieces. What's that bit? View A and B pocket. Really? It's a big pocket. Alright, that pocket's bigger than I thought it was going to be. So, oh look, it does give you a finished measurement pieces. Oh, it does, look, on this, on here, it's got for the extension piece, they call it, the bottom of it. They've got a placing for the pocket, so that's not too much of a drama then. I'll be able to have some hopeful consideration where I'm putting the pockets. Move that onto this one. This is, now I'm looking for, that's my back piece. And on the other side I have, if you see, that's part of the trousers again, and this bit here is UB front, and this is to me one of my most interesting pieces because I don't know if it gives a waist seam. The waist seam's down here, so it's meant to sit on seam line, is it? Looks like it. Shorten, lengthen it here if I want to. So, seam allowance 1.5 centimetres, 5/8 for those who are working in the old way. Measurement of finished garment at fullest part of bust, or for me, my mid-chest. So it's saying that it is, let's have a look, extra small 39 inches or 99 centimetres, small 42 inches or 106 centimetres, medium 45 inches or 114 centimetres, large 48 inches 122 centimetres, or extra large 51.5 inches or 131 centimetres. Right, okay, for me and my body shape, I measure at 102 centimetres, really, so 102, but then I wonder what the ease is in this. It's not telling me what the ease allowance is. It's not saying at all about ease on here. Normally it does, and it hasn't, but 106, so supposedly a small, but you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get pattern piece. See, it's not marked it. I don't like the way, and I have to take this as my guide, and I'm going to measure it for the size of small and see what it tells me as far as the sizing goes, so I can determine if this is going to fit. So there we go, I've got all my measurements worked out, and looking at this, small, medium and large, my size for my chest area, or on there it says the bust, is 102 centimetres, so 107 on the small's a bit snug. It will work, there's definitely ease in that, but not a lot, might be a bit too snug really. So medium is 119, that gives me 17 centimetres of ease. Now the large is 126, which is just too baggy I think, so I think I'm going to have to go with the small, sorry not small, the medium. I think that'll be the best one. It'll be a sensible amount of ease, maybe a little bit looser than I might want, but I'd rather do that and have a slightly looser fitting top than something that I can't quite get into because I've made it a bit too snug. And I know about doing that because I've done it before, but never mind, always remember the ease. So I reckon that's what I'm going to go with, medium. So there we go, I've done my reading of my instructions, I've checked my pattern and worked out my sizing that I'm going to use. So everything's done really, so I can move on to the next section, which will be in the next video. Next video I'm going to do is get my pattern measured. Well, I'm going to copy it onto tracing paper and cut out the material and get everything ready to actually go. But I'm going to do that in my next video, like I say. For now, I've done the basics. and I think I'm ready to get going with it.